What is up, everyone? Redfill here, and we are back with another Baldur's Gate 3 guide. And today I'm taking you through a beginner's guide to creating the type of druid that I'm playing in the game, which is a Circle of the Moon druid. I absolutely love this version of the druid. If you've watched any of the live streams that have been taking place since the game launched, this is the character I'm taking through. That playthrough, it's been a lot of fun. I really like the way that the class played in early access, and I'm very happy with the way it has evolved into the live game with a combination of spell casting and shape shifting. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty potent, and I think that it's something that if you enjoy this type of gameplay, this is the type of guide that'll help you understand how I've made my build and how I'm using this character in my playthrough, along with the companions that I'm using for this character. So, without further ado, we're going to get into the video. I'm going to turn my face off so that we can focus on the character creation screen. Don't forget to like, subscribe to that bell icon so you never miss an update. Join our Discord, links are down below, and hopefully we'll see you in the next live stream, which happens daily at 11 a.m. Central. Let's go. Now, one of the things I like to do when I'm creating my characters is to reduce or add, whichever is required, to get all your stats to 10, which basically means you are a blank slate. From here, you can build the character that you want to build without having any penalties to their die rolls. So, with that being said, there are a few ways that you could go about this depending on how exactly you're going to be playing your shapeshifter, but here's how I've done it because I think this works fairly well for me. You definitely want your wisdom up to at least 14 because that's going to affect your spell casting overall, your proficiencies and everything else. You could probably set this to 15 if you really want to push the limit, which means the next chance you get to level up and choose to modify your abilities, you can quickly get to 16, which is a fairly good place to be. You don't have to be super high in a stat if you're going to be playing on Explorer mode, but if you're going to be playing on the balanced mode, which is the normal mode for the game, you definitely want to consider having this at a 16 to start because you're going to want all the bonuses you can get because it's significantly harder that way. I would say the same is for Tactician mode as well. This character needs to be able to take a few hits, but it's not super important that they have a high constitution, and here's why. The shape shifting means that every time you shift into another shape, you get the hit points of that shape. So bear form, wolf form, so on and so forth. And until something takes the hit points away from that shape shifted version of yourself, you still have all your other hit points. So if you've got 30 hit points as a bear, they have to get through 30 hit points to convert you back to your normal form, and then they'll start chipping away your actual hit points. But all you have to do when you get to your next round is just shapeshift back again, and you've got another hit point pool. It's brilliant in its design, so you don't have to worry too much about constitution. Dexterity, on the other hand, I would absolutely say take to 14 because you're going to need that for the AC, the movement, and everything else. This is also going to be the face of your character more than likely, so you definitely need your charisma up, and you can put that at 14 like so. We have 1 point left, and it doesn't really matter where we stick it. I would say that for the purposes of this, we can just stick it into strength because if we get something that helps us out there, we can jump further. Like I said, I don't worry too much about the constitution. Next up is backgrounds, and you have a few options here to choose from depending on whether or not you want a focus on the outdoors or if you want to be able to have more of a relationship with people. I think that for my money, the folk hero is probably the better option to go. You're a champion of the common people, challenging tyrants and monsters to protect the helpless. Saving innocents in imminent danger will make your legend grow. And you get animal handling and survival. But also, I believe it's the Outlander. Yeah, you grew up in the wilds, learning to survive far from the comforts of civilization. Surviving unusual hazards of the wild will enhance your prowess and understanding. If you're planning on not having your character be the face of the party, you could go Outlander. But if you're going to be the face of the party, I highly recommend Folk Hero because of the animal handling aspect, which gives you the ability to manipulate conversations or guide conversations with animals if you don't have Speak Like Animal running at any given time. So I find that to be a very druidic thing. So for my money, it's always Folk Hero. What's up, everybody? Quick commercial break here to give it a shout out to our guild champions, who are the highest tier memberships here on YouTube: Ancient Entity, Assassin Gamer 94, Bubbleonia Rising, Crazy's Relative, Mujin, and Remedy. Thanks so much for the highest tier membership, and thanks to all of the members who support the channel, because you keep me doing this full time. You too can become a supporter if you're new here. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that bell icon so you never miss an update. Join as a member. There's 3 different tiers. We do lots of special stuff: private polls, private videos. You get a shout out if you're the highest tier membership, but you can also do one-off donations in the form of super chats on any live stream or premiere you see, and of course super thanks on any upload or YouTube short. Whatever you can contribute, it's great. Keeps me on the air full time, keeps the cats fed, keeps the homestead running. Anyway, back to the video, everybody. Now, in terms of race, it doesn't matter as much as it did in early access because of the removal of these stat bonuses, but there still are some interesting racial features that you may want to consider when you are creating your druid. For me, I chose elf, and I'll tell you why. I chose elf and then I chose wood elf, and it's a very simple reason. One of the proficiencies they get, well, it's actually kind of complex. So I love elves. I talked about this in another episode. I almost always play elves. Every game I ever play, I have an affinity for elves. So I will almost always play wood elf, ranger, and or rogue throughout my, it's usually the first playthrough. This is the first time I've been a druid as my first time through. But the reason I went with an elf is because I love elves and I love the role-playing aspect of it. But I love the fact that they get some bonus stealth and nature stuff, perception, survival stuff. But here's the kicker for me. With weapons, you get short swords, short bows, and long bows. Plus you get sickles, scimitars, quarterstaffs, maces, javelins, daggers, clubs. Wood elves can use a lot of different types of weapons. And as I've shown in the live streams for this character, the longbow that my character's using is just a simple longbow, no bonuses or anything like that. And I still do more damage with my longbow most of the time than my basic cantrips. So it's a neat thing to have at your disposal to be able to have situational damage. Be like, well, I'm good with just using my bow, or maybe it's better to use my thorn whip, or maybe it's better to use my, ice dagger, so on and so forth, my ice knife. So I think for me, it's wood elf. Now, you could choose a couple of different options. One of the things I did in the early access was I went in and I did a forest gnome. And one of the reasons I chose the forest gnome was because of the Speak Like Animals ability, which I think is really, really cool to have that as just an ability because it's your racial. And it's the different type of druid, so if you're definitely planning on talking a lot to the animals and stuff, this is a solid option because you get that right there, the Speak with Animals. Very solid choice. The other one would be a halfling, and I think here, if you're going to be sneaking around a little bit ahead of the group as that type of druid, go for this. Go for the light heart. But otherwise, I would say strong heart because of the poison and poison damage resistances. So also pretty groovy. But if I had to pick my top 2, it's going to be between the wood elf and the forest gnome. I think for me, those are the ones that make the most sense. All right, next up is Cantrips and Spells. I think Cantrips are pretty simple right out of the gate. Shillelagh is okay. Thorn Whip's pretty good. I like Thorn Whip. A Produce Flame, I feel, is a little bit more useful than the Shillelagh because this gives you a light source, which helps in dark places for hit values and other things. So I think that that's a pretty good option. And then in terms of your spells, you can go straight into here, and this is kind of dealer's choice. I don't think Fairy Fire or Long Strider are worth their weight at this point in time, but I definitely think Ice Knife is worth it. Cure Wounds is worth it. Probably this is going to depend. If you're planning on picking up Shadowheart immediately on the Nautiloid, then you're not going to need any additional heals. She'll be your primary healer, you'll be the backup healer. But if you're planning on being the primary healer for your group, don't take just Cure Wounds. Also take Healing Word. But otherwise, I would focus on Thunderwave and Speak with Animals. That's the rotation that I think works very, very well. That's the rotation that I'm using with my druid. All these spells are still on my hotbar. So there you have it, everyone. That is my ultimate beginner's build guide to creating a Circle of the Moon Druid like mine. Remember that this Druid shapeshifts. You get the Circle of the Moon as you level up, and you will then be able to change into any of the different forms that you want. I think this is a really fun character to play. My Drow Sorcerer is equally fun. I'll be doing more guides for that character as well. Plus, we've got other guides and the live streams and beyond. So don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon, join our Discord. Links are down below. Support if you can with memberships and beyond. Thanks so much. I'll see everybody in the next one. Until then, stay safe and happy gaming.